Welcome back, guys. JE Live, Jake here, and this is another JE Live. I mean, you know, I don't really know what else to say. We did the roster cut down. We did the practice squad yesterday, and today I figured I'd take questions and talk a little bit about what's going on with the Rams. And they made a bunch of moves today, transactions. I mean, yesterday they agreed to terms on a practice squad contract with former Texans running back Buddy Howell. On top of that, they also signed today Jared Hocker, former Texas A&M guard, then eventually went to the Seattle Seahawks, was cut from the Seattle Seahawks, and the Rams ended up adding him to their practice squad. We're going to talk a little bit about, my thoughts on those two guys, what I think they bring to the table, why I think that one of them and maybe even both could see time this year on the 53-man roster. Before we get to it, be sure to like and subscribe to this video. It really does help the algorithm. I do see my lone wolf over there on Twitch, and I do really much appreciate your support as well. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to say with that. All right. So how we all doing? It is a Thursday, September 2nd. We are that much closer. Actually, we're literally a week away from the kickoff of the NFL season on Thursday Night Football next week. I think they're calling it Sunday Night Football on a Thursday, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but it's going to be the Cowboys and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to be doing a watch party, just enjoying, the finer things, like engaging with people, having some fun. I just wanted to give a shout out to all of our affiliates. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything, so to speak, where there's any revenue involved. It's just word of mouth has really allowed our Discord channel to grow. And with word of mouth, because of that, I just wanted to throw out that our Discord channel has now eclipsed 300. We now have 304 members. I remember we had like 120, I think, like when I first started Discord, putting it out there for the YouTube, which was earlier in the year. So we had 120. We're now up to 304. Again, if you guys have never joined it, be sure to join. It's pretty much 24/7 Rams content. You can get your MCU fix in there. You can talk about horror movies. You can talk about music, whatever you want to talk about. It is a community for anyone that likes this channel. Everyone is welcome, and it costs literally $0 and 0 cents, my friends. So that's what I will say in regards to that. I'll drop a link below in the comments section, and then I'm going to just basically go back and I'm going to check how everyone's doing. We already have 54 views, so really appreciate you guys hopping in here. Not 54 live views, but 54 views in total. That's pretty quick. When is the stream supposed to kick off? Well, AZZA, it just kicked off. I hope you're here. What's up, Trevor? How we doing? Thank you for joining, obviously this live stream, but thank you for joining the Discord channel yesterday. I do appreciate it. Hey, Jake, do you know how much do you know much about the running back we picked up? I'm going to get into that in a little bit, AZZA, but hold on to that thought. What's up, Scott? How we doing? I'm intrigued by the O-line. Yeah, I really like Jared Hocker. I'm going to get into that as well. Initially, right? I mean, I could dive into his film, whatnot, but I like him. I didn't know who he was initially, but I saw some videos. Ben Fennell from NFL Network, he posted, and he looks good. Getting ready to watch this Ohio State game. Oh, nice. I'm seeing Shang-Chi. I want to say 8 o'clock, so it's not going to be a super long stream. I just wanted to basically say hi to you guys, engage with you guys, and if we have to do this every day, I'm going to do this. I really want to be in touch every single day if I can. I know a lot of people, will turn this thing on when they're at work or they're at school, and, that means a lot to me, so I'm going to, try my best and put my best foot forward and try, even if it's an hour. I think you guys would rather have an hour than nothing, so I think I'm going to try to do that. Commit to that. We'll see. We'll see how I do. It's a lot, but we'll see how I do. What's up, Henry? How we doing? Aloha. What's up, Swaggy? Who takes the last spot on the practice squad? Great question. I guess we'll find out. Always a discussion going on in the Discord. Totally agree with you there. They're terming next Thursday is the kickoff game on NBC. Thursday Night Football, technically. Yeah, of course. it's like its own brand, so I get it, but it just sounds stupid. Yes, please be sure to like the stream. We already have 10 likes. We have 22 people in here live, so if everyone just did that right now, we'd probably have 22 or more, depending. So, basically it gets the emphasis out there. The algorithm takes it and just throws it at everybody. It'll be on their home screen. It'll be like, hey, by the way, like Jake Ellenbogen, yeah, he's kind of like live. And I see based on what you have watched over the last, few weeks, you might be interested. That's how YouTube works. So be sure to do that. But yeah, let's get into it. So let's talk about it, okay? The Rams, multiple transactions, and I'll just go through each one, my thoughts on them, as I try to get comfortable here yet again. Man, this chair used to be so comfortable for me, and now I just can never get comfortable. Anyway, so let's just talk about it, right? Let's start off first with an IR move, okay? The Rams have placed Tremayne Anchrum on IR. We do not know if it'll be the short term or the long term. Long term is after week 8. The short term is after week 3. Tremayne Anchrum was not going to start this year. He was going to be one of the 6th, 7th, or 8th men on the offensive line, a guy that they could rely on to play all 5 positions if need be, has great positional versatility, hurt his knee and actually played through the pain against the Broncos, against Von Miller, so you got to give him a lot of credit to hang in there. Sean McVay certainly did. So I know he had an ankle the game before and actually came out of the game, but he ended up having a knee issue, according to Sean McVay. I think he's going to be okay. I think this is a short-term stash. I mean, keep in mind, he is not going to start, so it's not like a huge thing. So I think you'll probably see him by week 4, and we'll see if he is a healthy scratch or not by then. And keep in mind that opens up a roster spot now, which the Rams are going to use one of those roster spot opening for Johnny Hekker, who has now been placed on the active roster. He was on COVID IR. He was asymptomatic. This is obviously somebody that was in a dead heat battle with Corey Bojorquez and potentially lost that battle, but because, he was willing to work with them at reworking his deal, and we don't know the details on that. But just to assume if he did, he is still on the roster. He made the team. He won the job, and now he's back. And worst comes to worst, if he were to get hurt or if he has to go back on COVID IR, Matt Gay showed you that he could punt in preseason. So I guess that's the best case scenario. The fact that both he and Bojorquez were unable to punt in game 2. So he is going to take that spot. Tremayne Anchrum goes to IR. We have another IR. It is going to be Ogbonnia Okoronkwo. So 2 guys, really not a shock. We talked about this. They were both at practice. It sounded like maybe they were trying to see what they could do, but clearly they decided that, working individually didn't make a lot of sense, so they're going to shut both of them down for the short term anyway. We don't know if this is a short-term IR stash for Ogbonnia Okoronkwo, but either way, he is going on IR. He can come back eligible by week 4, but if he sticks on the long-term IR, it would be after week 8. So they'll have to make a decision based on that. But that also, there's another thing that was kind of a huge blow to the Rams, and that is Chris Garrett is actually going on COVID IR. I'm not going to get into his vaccination status because I do not know. I know there's people on Twitter. It's all about a witch hunt. Need to find out who didn't get vaccine, all that. I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to give you the facts. I'm going to keep it real with you guys. Basically, Chris Garrett, he is on the COVID IR. So because he's on the COVID IR, and you have to have the 14-day thing, he is very much in jeopardy of missing the first game of the season, which absolutely sucks. I feel for him, which also, keep this in mind, we talked about Okoronkwo and now Garrett. If you're doing the math, guys, that's only 4 guys on the edge. You have Floyd, you have, of course, you have Floyd. Actually, there's 3 guys. Sorry. You have Floyd, you have Terrell Lewis, you have Justin Hollins. Aside from that, Okoronkwo on IR. Now you have Garrett on the COVID IR. There's only 3. So you have to imagine they're going to either add somebody could sign, a guy like Curtis Weaver off the Browns practice squad. But I think most likely the best option is going to be going with Justin Lawler, promoting him from the practice squad. I know they kept 5. It would only be 4, but we will definitely see how they want to orchestrate that. But let's make no mistake about it, guys. They are now all of a sudden, after looking really good at the outside linebacker position, they are thin there. There's only 3 guys on the roster at outside linebacker. Now, what the Rams might do, and this honestly might be a blessing in disguise, is that Michael Hoyt is a super athlete. He's built like Morgan Fox. The guy ran in the 4.6s. He's around that 270 range. Michael Hoyt could end up being your, edge defender, where they use him as a stand-up pass rusher. They give him an opportunity as the 4th guy. Not using him a ton, but getting him in there, getting him active. This could be a really good sign for Hoyt to get some playing time early on, especially because A'Shawn Robinson is not going on COVID. He's not going on IR, period. They're going to roll with him. Another thing here, Ernest Brown. So we'll see with Ernest Brown. The Rams will likely elevate Justin Lawler. I think he was very close to making the team, so I won't be surprised if they decide to put Lawler on the 53, or they'll just keep him on the practice squad, not going to complicate things since they want to bring back Coleman Shelton, because right now he's on COVID IR, and, Big Vay made it clear he's going to come back, and he's going to make this team. So what they really theoretically could do is just have Justin Lawler stay on the practice squad and elevate him for game day with the new rules, elevate him and maybe Ernest Brown, and then use Michael Hoyt, and there you go. You kind of fix that issue right then and there. So that's an interesting thing. It definitely is an interesting dynamic. We had to talk about those guys before I got into the practice squad guys that were signed, which I am going to talk about, but I want to catch up on everybody. If you guys are asking questions, I do see people talking and whatnot, and wow, we filled up pretty quickly at 58 now. If everyone could please like this video, please give it a thumbs up, push this thing to the sky on YouTube. This is how we grow. If you're wondering why all of a sudden my viewership keeps going up, it's probably because I'm talking and I'm not just sitting here just staring at my phone. That probably helps. But another thing that helps is the word of mouth on top of it. There's another thing called the like button. So when you thumbs this thing up, YouTube takes that and they're like, okay, so whatever Jake's doing right now, they seem to like what Jake's doing. So we're going to recommend people that watched, sports in the last 24 hours and watched Rams using the tags Rams in the videos that they watched, and they're going to recommend this video exactly. They're going to recommend this live stream, and it'll show up on their home screen. So this is why you got to like. So be sure to like, punch that like button in the face. Let's see here. Y'all should check out Hekker's presser today. He was very transparent about everything. Oh, that's pretty cool. I did not see that. So that'll be, something to definitely check out. What's going on, Holden? How we doing? They should promote Lawler. I think that's what they'll do. Good to see Terrell Lewis looking healthy and practicing in full. Exactly. I hope he stays healthy. He's in for a really good year if he does. What's up, Dina? How we doing? Actually, sorry, I forgot to make you. Yesterday I was going to make you a mod, but I never got around to it. So now made you a moderator, by the way. Ernest Brown played the edge a lot in preseason. That's true. He seems a little raw, so I don't know if he would get the nod over a Hoyt or Lawler, but, he's definitely an option that they could, basically elevate him to the active roster from the practice squad. Keep him on the practice squad, but elevate him for game day status. They did that last year with J.R. Reed. They did that last year, I believe, with a few other guys. Juju Hughes towards the down the stretch. Last year Jake Gervais as well. Gervais was on the practice squad. They elevated him, and he ended up playing in the Jets game. So it happens. They do that. It's smart. I like that rule. Now, if they could just get rid of the minimum, or not the minimum, the maximum player rule. To me, if you're on a 53-man roster, you should be allowed to suit up if you're healthy. It's ridiculous that you need to have healthy scratches. I hate it so much, but we won't get too much into that. If Harris is vaccinated, then I think he has to have 2 straight negative tests within 24 hours. If you mean Garrett? Okay, so he has to have 2 negative tests within 24 hours. Okay, so he could theoretically come back pretty quickly. Okay. The hope is that he'll be ready, but we don't know. Top 5 fastest offensive ball carriers of the week 3 preseason. Perkins is number 3. Wow. That's crazy. I believe it. I mean, he's very fast. Hey, Jake, do you think that Jordan Fuller can be better than John Johnson in our defense? That's asking Jordan Fuller to do a lot, because John Johnson does a lot of things that just he doesn't get credit for on in the stat sheet. You go back on to the film and you'll see it, but on the stat sheet he doesn't really get credit for. So that's tough. I think Fuller's going to be up there, though. I think he's going to be a really big-time player for them, and they really nailed that evaluation. I mean, I forget who it was. Jordan Rodriguez did a perfect, report on that. She did a feature article on, how the Rams came to find Jordan Fuller, their process, and then, one of their scouts, their longtime scouts, said that he was the best safety in the draft, and they basically drafted him based on that, and they got him in the 6th round. What an absolute freaking steal. Yeah, Dina, I'm glad you're excited. It's not a huge concern unless the starter goes down. I agree with Lawler stepping in. I can't imagine the Rams are going to be in base very often, a lot of hybrids on the D. That I agree with you, Brian, and that's a great point, is that, it's not a huge concern. I think it's a huge concern if you only have 3. Theoretically, you want to have 4, especially with the, injury concern of course, Terrell Lewis. But I agree with you. They are going to be in, a nickel for the majority of the time. They want to have 3 safeties out there, whether it be Terrell Burgess in the, the nickel spot, or, Scott or Rapp, or, maybe even J.R. Reed, Juju Hughes. But they want 3 guys out there, and, they'll be able to mix and match. And like I said, Michael Hoyt has a chance to be like Morgan Fox was last year as an edge guy. Fox had a ton of, stand-up reps throughout his career, with the Rams, a guy that could put his hand in the dirt, could rush from either way, just, physically imposing. And he was a tweener, but they used his tweener ability, so to speak. They used it to their advantage because he was too quick for some tackles and he was too powerful for others. So you have the athletic tackles that may be able to match up with him athletically, but he was just a brick. Like he'd be like throwing a brick at your face, and he would really come and make an impact, and with his ability to convert speed to power. So, as long as Hoyt can continue pick up where Fox left off, they'll be completely fine, with that. Let's see. He was number 2 and number 3. Oh, he was number 2 and number 3. That's nuts. Fuller already captain status in year 2. That's a great sign. How would you rate the difficulty of the Rams schedule outside of the West this year? It's obviously not the most ideal. You talk about going up against, teams like the Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Ravens. I mean, that's not going to be the easiest. The Titans probably won't be that easy. I think that's at SoFi. I don't think that's at Tennessee, because the last time they played Tennessee, they clinched the division win. So I don't think it'll be like super easy, but I think the Rams are good enough to beat anybody on any given Sunday or Monday, Thursday. So I'm not too worried about the schedule. You always have to play tough teams. They'll have to play tough teams to make the playoffs, which they will, barring, an incredibly catastrophic event that would have to take out all of the quarterbacks at that point. But that's how I would look at it as far as the schedule. Now, going into the practice squad, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this. The Rams added Buddy Howell, who is a phenomenal special teamer, by the way, out of Florida Atlantic. Buddy Howell is built he's a big dude. I'm going to bring up his height and weight. I believe he's 6'1", 221. He's built. Howell's an interesting one because he can really help you in special teams. He's a guy that could be elevated to the active roster off the practice squad at some point this year. Hasn't had a ton of experience. Is 6'1", 218. My apologies. He's a UDFA from 2018's class out of Florida Atlantic. And, to me, this is somebody that's shown you the ability on special teams. He's blocked punts before, good, as a hands team guy, good, as a gunner. He can make you pay. He had a 40-yard run last year that was completely negated by a holding call on the other side of the offensive line. But you see that initial burst. He kind of reminds me a little bit of what I saw with Trey Sermon, and you guys know I love Trey Sermon. Obviously he doesn't have the long speed. He ran a 4.6 40. But he's somebody, I don't think they would really use him in that sense. They would never really have to use him as an offensive player, but if they did have to, I think he could, especially with the offensive line they have and the passing game and how, they're going to be running against light boxes because they're going to have to, defense is going to have to pick their poison, and likely they'd rather have an extra guy in the back end and the secondary to, defend Stafford than having, a bunch of guys in the box and letting Stafford, throw wherever he wants. So I think because of that, Howell, if need be, could succeed in this offense. He will never have to, barring, some crazy injury run. They still have Otis Anderson Jr. as well on the practice squad. So I like that they added Howell because it kind of mixes and matches. You look at, the big-bodied running back and Buddy Howell, and then you have a guy that's more of a scat back, built, similar to, a guy like Henderson, but he's not as filled out. He's skinnier, he's slipperier in space, and he has return ability. Howell is more of the big-bodied guy, so I do like that. And then Jared Hocker is a very interesting, ad here, because watching Hocker's tape, and I mean, I didn't get to see a ton of it. There are some highlights being thrown out there on Twitter. He played over 2,000 snaps in his career at Texas A&M, both left guard and right guard. So he has that guard switch ability, which is great. He can play either guard spot. He has 3 years as a starter at an SEC program. And this is somebody that does a really nice job of picking up stunts. He gets on the run. He can make things move. He's a combo blocker. That's somebody that I could definitely see at some point getting off the practice squad, being elevated to the 53-man roster, and having himself a day down the road. Now, here's the thing, okay? The Rams kept Bobby Evans, and I've been saying this. They kept him, but he's not a guaranteed keep. If he were to come out, Jared Hocker, who, by the way, is a UDFA from this year, he played extremely well in 2020. He didn't play that well in 2019, but he came back in 2020, really played well, was an undrafted rookie free agent. Looked like he might have made the Seattle Seahawks initial roster, but they ended up cutting him late. Rams add him to the practice squad. To me, you look at Kevin Carberry and his ability to coach, which I don't think is in question. Obviously, go back and look at what he did at Stanford, and I think obviously the Rams wouldn't trust him as much as they did if they didn't believe in him. Carberry is one of the main reasons the Rams ended up with Alaric Jackson, who's now going by the name A.J. Jackson, so I got to get used to that. A.J. Jackson, of course, is a guy that they, had a draftable grade on. They thought about potentially drafting late in the draft, but he ended up becoming a free agent. They were able, because of this, to get a guy like Jake Funk, to get a guy like Chris Garrett, to get a guy like Skoranek, not spend a pick on Jackson and still find value by paying him the most of any practice squad, or not practice squad, but UDFA candidate. So he came over there. They're now able to develop him, but he's also on the active roster. So they've done a nice job, I think. I think Bobby Evans is going to be pushed. And look, for anybody saying they don't want to cut their draft picks, I completely disagree. Jamil Demby is a guy that, he looked good early on and then, went to the Lions, came back. He went to the Lions, by the way, signed with their practice squad to go and be with his initial offensive line coach at Maine. So I get that. Then he came back and he really was never the same. The Rams didn't waste their time. They said, look, he's not cutting it, and they cut him. And he didn't make he did not make the practice squad. So you have Jeremiah Colon there, who was on the team in 2019, missed all of 2020 with the Rams, and then comes back in 2021, makes the practice squad as a late add. And then you get Jared Hocker here, who is not the best athlete, but he's built super well, and I think he moves in a short area pretty well. He's not going to be your convoy. He's not like an Andrew Whitworth athlete at the offensive line position that can be a convoy, can follow your running back 20, 30 yards downfield, but he's quick in a sense. He can knock a guy off his feet and then go hit another guy. I like his ability to combo block, take on those stunts. Those stunts are going to be very problematic for a young offensive lineman, you would expect, but he actually does a really nice job of, staying patient and just going with it. And he's able, obviously with his power, this is a guy that can completely neutralize guys. And one thing I really like about Hocker, and I haven't seen a ton of him, but what I have seen is he's got a mean mean streak. And you guys, if you guys have been following me, you know I die for freaking offensive linemen that have a mean streak, that want to literally put you under the ground 6 feet. I love it. That's what you need to be. You need more Harvey Dahls in the league. You need more guys like Ryan Jensen of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys that just don't give a damn. They play the offensive line position. They're not trying to be friendly. They want to put you 6 feet under. Love that. He has that mentality, and so he's the guy that I think the Rams are going to try to hold on to. If he doesn't make the 53 at any point this year, I bet you anything that they cannot wait to sign him to a futures contract and bring him back next year and have him work through an entire Rams camp and how they go through their process. Especially another thing that's really interesting here is he worked with Shane Waldron. Keep that in mind. He was with Seattle. Shane Waldron, I'm sure, got a call from McVay, asked him, hey, what do you think about this guy? Potentially. I'm not saying 100% that's what happened, but I'm sure that stuff does happen. So, with that familiarity, maybe, Sean thought, wow, they already kind of want to run the same process we're running. They're going to have a similar offense. Maybe Hocker was ready for it. So, either way, I think they made a really good choice to go after a guy like Buddy Howell that can really help you in special teams. And I don't think it's a shock that they got a guy that can help you in special teams like that at the running back position in case Jake Funk becomes too valuable to risk him on special teams. Maybe you bring a guy like Howell up to the 53 who's had experience in the NFL in that regard. Do not discount special teams. This guy can block punts. This guy can down punts. This guy can help you as a gunner. This guy can help you in the hands team. He's a good special teamer, really good special teamer. But then also Hocker is somebody here. You're looking at your starting five, and after that, what do you have? Noteboom. You have Bobby Evans. You have Tremayne Anchrum. You have Coleman Shelton. And you have A.J. Jackson. So when you look at all of that, you think, they got a lot of depth for sure. But, now you have Hocker who's sitting there on the practice squad with, some other guys as well. They have to feel good. It really is going to make it tougher on a guy like, say, Chandler Brewer. It's going to make it tougher on a guy like, say, Jeremiah Colon. So the greatest thing that you can have, and anybody can have in that sense, is competition. Competition is going to allow guys to get better. They find better in themselves. They're going to, they're just going to take their game to another level. And I think adding a guy like Hocker that has that, mean streak could, really help out. And he could potentially be seeing the 53-man roster this year. Would not be surprised. He's a good guy to have on your practice squad. So we talked a lot about 2 practice squad additions. Let's catch up here on some of your questions here. Let's see here. Okay, I did that. What do you think about Ramsey in the slot? Ramsey can play anywhere, to be honest with you. Ramsey, that is the thing about Ramsey, and that's honestly the thing about those super athletic defensive backs that Florida State, was able to get when they had Jimbo Fisher as their head coach, and of course the guy that, it was a huge emphasis on recruiting. They went out and they got that type of big, that bodied cornerback, safety. Keep in mind, Ramsey was asked to play safety. He was asked to play cornerback. He worked with safety drills, cornerback drills, what have you. He was really listed as a defensive back, and they proved that because Florida State also went out and, they got Derwin James. They both come from the same area. So when you have those two guys, they have the capability to play all over the secondary. Jalen Ramsey could be one of the best linebackers in football, too. His instincts are off the charts. He's one of the best tackling cornerbacks, or you want to just say defensive backs. He's one of the best tackling defensive players in football. He has a mixture of while he has some severe pop behind his pads and he can make that big hit, he always makes sure to secure the hit. He's not a guy going to try to rip the ball out every time. He wants to secure the hit and then try to punch it out. That's the thing. He's disciplined in his approach. And, we had Bryce Perkins on here, and he basically said when he talked about one player that really stood out to him, the way Jalen Ramsey takes every practice 100% serious, that is the thing that stood out to him. That's why Jalen Ramsey is one of the absolute best. It's why Derwin James, I don't know if you saw some of the practice highlights he had with the Chargers, you could tell he was working on a whole other level with the whole defense. So those two guys are very similar. They can do everything, and yeah, he could absolutely play nickel if he had to. Let's see here. who do you think will make the most tackles this year after losing Johnson? I think here's the interesting thing, because you're gonna have those rotations, right? Because you have Reader and assuming you have Reader and Kenny Young starting, which by all accounts it sounds like that's how it's gonna go. You have Ernest Jones and you have Tremayne Howard. I think a lot of those guys are gonna like swap out and what have you. I don't think we're gonna have an every down linebacker. I do think the best bet to be your leading tackler at linebacker is Troy Reader. But with that being said, I don't think they have a Patrick Willis. They don't have a Ray Lewis. They don't have a Brian Urlacher, Zach Thomas, London Fletcher. They don't have anybody like that that's going to stay there the whole game and be that guy. And so because of that, I don't think a linebacker is going to lead in tackles. I think what could end up happening, because initially I did project that Ernest Jones would, but it doesn't look like he's going to start right off the cuff like I thought he could. So because of that, it makes it a little intriguing. I would not be surprised at all if it's one of the safeties, whether it is Burgess, whether it's Fuller, whether it's Rapp. I really kind of lean towards Fuller because no matter what, I feel like Fuller's always going to be out there. So I would probably lean towards Fuller being the leading tackler. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because I know immediately the first thing you think of is, safety, a leading tackler? Does that mean we're going to give up that many yards? Does that mean we're not going to stop the run? No. Give Jordan Fuller some credit here. If he leads the league in tackling, or leads the team in tackling, it says a lot, because that means he's going to be used, very like all over the place, so to speak. I mean, he's going to be used in the box. He's going to be used in coverage. I think this is somebody that has shown you, his suddenness. He can come down. He's not afraid to make a big hit. He's not afraid to knock the ball out. You've seen it. He's a great, sound tackler. I could see him doing it. Burgess, because he plays, he's going to play nickel. He's going to play safety. I would lean towards Fuller because of how long he'll be on the field. But potentially Burgess, we'll see how much they play nickel. I think they're going to play a ton of nickel. I don't know if they're going to play a lot of base 3-4. They're going to be a weird defense to predict, but I think they'll play a lot of nickel, and so for that reason, I'm going to go with Fuller, who will stay on the field the majority of the time. That's a great question. What you don't want to see is Jalen Ramsey. That you don't want to see him being the number one. I love him as a tackler, but you don't want to see him make it 80, 90, 100 tackles. That's what you don't want to see out of your corner. That means he's getting beat a lot. It's just not happening. So I'd say Fuller or Burgess, and I'd probably lean Fuller. Okay. Brett Coleman has us being the 6th seed in the playoffs. Who do you think outside people see? What do you think outside people see that have them underestimating the Rams? I think there's people that are concerned. They looked at, say, Brandon Staley and what he did, and then they saw what happened in the Packers game. I've seen a lot of analysts that go back and they're like, well, what happened in the Packers game? Are the Rams defense that good? Is that really the entire defense? Is it just Aaron Donald? Is it just Jalen Ramsey? Like, what is it? And so I think a combination of that, and that was with the number one defense, to now losing John Johnson, Troy Hill, Michael Brockers, for people that don't follow the team as much. They could be great analysts, but they don't follow it as much as you and I. That's what it comes down to. I really think, at least in my opinion, I think that's kind of what it's coming down to, is that they haven't watched as much as you and I have. They don't follow the Rams like they're their own, so they don't have that deep-seated feel for this team. And so I feel like, a lot of people slept on Fuller. They didn't realize how much of an impact he made. I mean, just look, the game without Fuller barely played the Buffalo game, and look at how different that secondary was. You know what I mean? Fuller missed some games. Look at how different some of the secondary was. But when Fuller, was in the Buccaneers game, when Fuller was in the Washington game, you noticed it immediately, the impact that he made. His presence was felt. And so I think guys like that, because you, the fan, watched all the games, you saw the story. It's like, to me, the best way I can explain it, this is the best possible way I can explain it, especially because I'm going to be seeing Shang-Chi at 8. The best way I can explain it is you are a fan. You're a diehard fan of a movie series. Let's just say, we'll just say Spider-Man No Way Home, right? So you're a diehard fan of the Spider-Man MCU series, right? And you have these critics, these film critics, that are only going based on their criteria of what makes film, but they're not taking into account everything that goes into No Way Home, how it's connected to Far From Home and Homecoming and Endgame and Loki, and it's a conjumbled thing, right? They're not taking that into account. What they're taking into account is that this is not the cinema. This is not a Martin Scorsese flick. This is not how we like it. And I'm not saying every critic does that, but I'm saying in terms of that, they're looking at it as, wow, that's not how we like it. And so with the Rams, you have these people that are, these NFL analysts, but they see them on, tape and they're like, okay, they don't see every game. So for a guy like Troy Reeder, they're looking at it and they're like, Troy Reeder doesn't move the needle. Troy Reeder is just a guy. But for you and I, we've seen Troy Reeder. We've seen his development. We've seen his ups and downs, and we've seen how far he has come in his development. It's the same thing with Kenny Young. A lot of these people have seen these guys in preseason and have written them off. A lot of these guys have played Madden and see these guys with that 66 overall and written them off. And so when you look at it, you look at the Rams, you look at the Packers, you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, well, I got news for you. People are always going to underrate the Rams if they don't watch the Rams. Their roster is really good for a Rams fan because you know what guys are bringing to the table. I'm not trying to say that, we're know-it-alls, but I am trying to say, and by the way, Brett Coleman's phenomenal. So, there's got to be a true reason behind that, and he does watch a lot of films, so I'm not knocking him in any way. I'm talking in general about, the talking heads and whatnot that will say the Rams aren't making the playoffs because they don't have good linebackers, or their outside linebackers are bad, or Leonard Floyd isn't good. And it's like you and I saw Leonard Floyd, his ability to stop the run, set the edge, completely changed everything. He was such an upgrade over Connor Barwin and Clay Matthews. It wasn't even a freaking argument. He was an upgrade over Dante Fowler as far as setting the edge. The discipline he had changed the defense. It's not a surprise to me that this was the #1 defense last year because they added guys like that. And most importantly, they stuck by their values. They want guys with length coming off the edge. They're very, very keen. They have a type. And honestly, Okoronkwo doesn't even fit that type, so I'm surprised he's still there. But they have a type that they look for, and it's very similar. Do you know what it is? It's a 6'5", 6'6" pass rusher off the edge who has extreme length, who's about 250 to 265 pounds. I just described Leonard Floyd. I just described Terrell Lewis. I just described Justin Hollins. And why do they want the length? Because when they can't win, if they don't win the rep, at first hand, they can move up and their length can bat passes down at the line of scrimmage and stop danger right in its tracks. That's the point of that. That is the point. So that's the best way I can make that. Let's see here. We're about 40 minutes in. I'm going to get going a little bit, in a little bit. Probably 20 minutes, I'd say. So, let's, okay, let's backtrack here. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Henry. What's up, Chantry? Easy Murda, they said Ramsey on defense is going to be like Where's Waldo for opposing offenses. I can't wait to see it. That sounds great. Red State, how we doing? Buddy Howell is going to help on special teams. I agree, Jake. Yeah, he absolutely is. If he gets a chance to play on the 53, you'll notice it. I mean, this is somebody that is not afraid to stick his face right in the fan, so to speak, but more importantly, stick his face into the punter's foot because, man, I don't know if you saw that block punt. That was huge for the Texans back when he was on that team. Is Howell better than Xavier Jones, or does he fit better? I would prefer Xavier Jones in the long run, but Howell has been in the league a little bit longer. He's a little bit kind of an undercover veteran, so to speak. I mean, he's only been in since 2018, but he has that experience playing special teams and playing at a high level. So it looked like he initially made the Texans 53, and they ended up cutting him after the fact. Does Russell Wilson and the Seahawks in a McVay-style offense worry you? Great question. To an extent, yeah, of course. I mean, it's always going to worry you when you have a guy like Russell Wilson, but I just don't feel like they've done enough for their defense. I don't worry about the Seahawks in general. because, it's the same thing every year. It's Russell Wilson. He's got 2 incredible pass catchers. They have a great, potentially an elite running back in Chris Carson that they'll manage his carries for some reason to get Rashad Penny action, which God knows why. And then their defense will just be really inconsistent. Figure it out towards the end of the year, and then it's too late. I've seen this movie before. That is the Seattle Seahawks in a nutshell. Yeah, let's go Rams. Yes, Jose. Can't wait for my team to start breaking every opponent this season. No, I agree with you. When the NFL starts this season, they better not pull any of that woke crap, or that. Okay. Let's see. Woods and Akers alternative jerseys are available in the Rams shop right now. Time for a new chairman. Looking forward to what Long and Rapp can do in the secondary. Both have underwhelmed in some regard. Hope they tear it up. Yeah, we'll see how big of a role Long has, but that'll be something to see. I'm pulling for Rapp to have a good season. He will hit you. I love that. I do love that as well. Let's see. Rap is a hitter for sure. What's the word, J.E.? What's up, Nolan? How we doing? My anti-crayon eating lover. Oh, man. Did you see those comments today that I posted on my Twitter about Stafford? Stafford's a hack. All right, guy. Whatever, whatever gets you up in the morning. Just got into an argument at the barber shop about Stafford. They were saying our offense is terrible and that Goff was better than Staff because he took the Rams to the Super Bowl. LOL. Prince, Namor, the new uniforms are trash, and how could you change that classic helmet? I like the new uniforms. I understand not loving it because, the nostalgia and everything, and changing the horns is a little bit something to get used to, but I've actually started to love it. I think it works. And I don't think they changed it. Like, it's one thing to be like the Tennessee Oilers, the Houston Oilers, and then go to the Tennessee Titans, and you're not even the Oilers anymore. The Rams didn't do that. They didn't completely change who they are, and so I do appreciate that. It could have been a lot worse. Did you mention the turnovers? About who? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, whatever. People are going to still, they're still going to trash Stafford. I don't know why. He seems like the nicest guy alive. I don't know why people hate him so much, but I've noticed that. And I've noticed it going back, just being a fan of his for so long. I've noticed that he's been going through that. Did Bryce stay or is he gone? Bryce did stay. Buddy Howell was a sneaky pickup. I agree. And, people will just look at him and be like, Buddy Howell? But, did you see his 40-yard run? I'm just saying, he's got that burst of speed. He's, the 10-yard split he had, I'm assuming was pretty damn good because he reminded me of Trey Sermon. He just doesn't have the long speed. But for, a fourth or a fifth running back, I don't really care. He probably won't be used much on the offense at all, really. It's going to be special teams, and he's been a good special teamer. Tell them how Goff had 4 times the turnovers than Stafford the last 4 years. That wins the argument. I tried, man. I was outnumbered. It was nothing but Packer, Cardinals, and there you go, Joe. Sorry to hear that, Joe. That sounds like an awful time. The barber's probably still mad about the Saints game, which conveniently made everyone who didn't like the Patriots cheer for them in the Super Bowl. Yep, I noticed that. Do you think Chandler Jones is going to be traded? I thought he was going to be traded, but I don't know what's going on with that. I really don't. So, I guess we'll find out. The barber is probably a Seahawk fan, potentially. LOL, that individual finishing another 20-64 pack. Oh, God, it kills me. Kills me. The Crayon Eater moniker is so funny. Yeah, absolutely hilarious. Just kills me. Absolutely kills me. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun this year. I'm looking at the receivers. I'm thinking, wow, if they all stay healthy, they could be in for massive seasons. They could be breaking records type deal. The offense, anyway. I really do think that this offense has a chance to be very lethal. Shout out to Sony Michel finally picking a number that actually makes sense. 25. Unfortunately, it's at the expense of Xavier Jones, but I think he's going to wear it well. And like Nolan said, 10 more days. And where I'll be. Here's what we're going to do. Next week, we'll have a watch party during the Cowboys and Bucks game. Might as well. I get to interact with you guys. We'll have some fun. I'm probably not going to do play-by-play. To be honest, I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm also going to enjoy it with you guys. We're going to talk, have some fun, and then pregame on, well, Sunday we're going to have the AJ show. Adam and I are going to do the AJ show, so if you guys want an NFL-centric show, I'm going to be doing that on Sunday. And then right before the Rams play, we're going to have a Rams pregame live, maybe an hour before, so it gives us some good time to talk together. And then afterwards, we're going to have our postgame. So keep that in mind. That's every single week. It's even going to be the week I go to the Giants game. It might be horrible. It's probably going to be the worst quality stream you've ever seen because I'm going to do it on my phone. But I am going to go live after the Giants-Rams game and before. So, No, I agree with you there, Trevor. Yeah. Well, it's hard. Like when you're playing Madden and you're like, and you're throwing it to number 2 and number 11 bats it away. And you're like, what? What's happening? Yeah. Yeah, college is starting. I get to watch my Kansas Jayhawks and Alabama and USC. The only teams I care about. Every 2 years they change the logo and I have to buy another fathead wall decal. Oh boy. How do you feel about the Rams keeping the always hurt A'Shawn Robinson? He's not always hurt. What ended up happening last year and why he missed so many games, he actually had a health condition. Since then, he has hired a nutritionist and he has lost a ton of weight. He's in great shape. He's having a procedure done and he's still going to be ready for week 1. So I'm not going at just you, my friend. What up, Paul? I'm just saying in general for people that think A'Shawn Robinson is this injury-prone, maggot, because I've seen it. I had someone in one of my tweets called him a maggot the other day, and I'm like, wait, what? Why are we calling players maggots? Come on now. But anyway, maggot is a bug or whatever you want to call it, larva. I don't know. All insects suck. Okay, that's my rule of thumb. Anyway. He's not a maggot. He is going to be okay. He's going to play week 1. And this is somebody, if he plays like he did in 2018, and down the stretch, by the way, he looked pretty good in the postseason, the last few games of the season. He looked pretty good. There's a reason why the Rams kept him. So if he plays anything like he did in 2018, you have a monster player. I mean, he is going to be an absolute monster next to Aaron Donald. So remember I said that. This is why I continue to stick by his side. Rams receivers are like box of chocolates. The defenses are never going to know which Stafford will pick. That's true. It is true. They're not going to know. Jayhawks in football, yeah, my Kansas Jayhawks that are wearing the Coastal Carolina themed Jayhawks uniforms. I'm not really a huge fan, and the helmet decal is enough to make me, want to, I don't know, drop a car battery on my face. But, regardless, I mean, I'm glad they'll be back, and they got Coach Lance Leopold from Buffalo, who's responsible for Buffalo's ascension, brought a bunch of recruits from Buffalo, so we'll see with that team. And I can't wait to watch Bryce Young with Alabama. Dude's already a millionaire because of they finally let players get paid. Man, I hate that Garrett is on COVID IR. I really think he can come off the edge well. You and me both. Kansas Jayhawks, I forget you have no taste in colleges. Well, come on, I like Kansas, Alabama, and USC. That's not bad. Oh, insect hate? Oh my god. I hate insects. They can all die. I hate them all. It's funny because people are like, well, you can't hate spiders because without spiders, then you'd have a lot of bugs. And I'm like, well, I still get a lot of bugs. And I can hate spiders. But you know what would be great? If we just killed all the spiders and all of the insects, guess what? Guess what? And I'm not talking about pet spiders and stuff, so people out there that have pet tarantulas, you're weird, but I don't have an issue with you. I'm not saying kill your... I get that. They're your pet. I'm talking like wild insects. If you killed all of them, then I wouldn't have to worry about it. It's that simple. But enough talking about killing. I'm going to get flagged or whatever, or someone's going to get offended and, you know, something like that. But we have fun on here. You guys know that. It's not all just straight ahead football talk. I mean, I was making impressions yesterday about, you know, different people in the, you know, the talking heads. So Jonah Williams might blow up now. Well, I think it's going to help Michael Hoyt the most. What Ram cuts got picked up on waivers? Just Eric Banks. I did see Tristan Jackson signed with the Vikings practice squad, so he's gone. That's sad. Insecticide, RIP. UCLA's colors and unities look fresh now that Jordan Brand is making them. Yeah, I'm not really a UCLA fan, but I do agree with that. Let's just experiment by killing mosquitoes first. Amen to that. Rams are at 10 wins for betting odds, but I should bet the over. Should I bet the over or under? You don't want to bet the under because you'll be sitting there in pain hoping your team loses to just make that bet. So definitely the over or just don't bet. By the way, guys, I would never bet the under in the history of anything because it's not fun. I did it once when I was in Vegas and I was at Caesar's Palace, and my father and I remember it like it was yesterday. It was Deshaun Watson, Thursday Night Football. Was not going to start. It was going to be Tom Savage versus the Andy Dalton-led Bengals. And I thought that the game was so bad. I was like, there's no way they're going to score anything. Well, unfortunately, Tom Savage got hurt. Deshaun Watson came in, and I had to sweat that over, like the under out, because I ended up winning that, but that was not fun. Don't ever bet on the under. I always say it doesn't. If you want to enjoy a game, bet on the over or don't bet. Do not bet on the under. You'll sit there sweating. Why would you do that to yourself? Every time something exciting happens, it hurts you. You're rooting for the clock. Think about that. You're rooting for the clock. How is that fun? Only 3 running backs, but they have 2 on the practice squad, so I feel pretty good about that. Plus, I'm not really worried about the only 3 running backs. They have the ability that, you know, Woods brings to the table as, you know, a runner, Tutu Atwell, so they can get cute with it. I'm not too worried. Man, I like Tristan, and Banks has talent, but I guess Williams was better. Yeah, Banks I really thought was going to come through the waivers, but he got claimed by the Chargers, and not really surprised since, you know, of course, Brandon Staley worked with him last year. It was funny how people said the Rams were in serious trouble losing Akers for the season. I don't think they noticed the Rams were winning games last year with Henderson while Akers was injured. Well, yeah, but that wouldn't, you know, that wouldn't fit the narrative. You know, if it doesn't fit the narrative, they're not going to do it. Also, today is unofficially sponsored by yours truly and Sparkling Ice Caffeine. We're running with black raspberry today, and I'm not going to lie, if you haven't tried it yet, the flavor is popping. Love the flavor. It's like a dark berry Mountain Dew, but without the sugar, without the calories. Let's see here. Yeah, 5 calories, 0 grams of total fat, 0 grams of sodium, 0 grams of carbs, 0 grams of sugar. It's just great. Love it. I know I got a lot of you on that, so I figured I'd always mention it when I have a drink by me. Yeah, 9 more days until my birthday, and I get a new Stafford jersey with a new alternative color. That's awesome. That's going to be awesome, P-Train. I like the new uniforms a lot, honestly, with the the modern throwback. I think it works. Although I am annoyed Kansas tried the modern throwback with colors of Coastal Carolina. I'm still annoyed by that. Raiders signed KJ Wright because the Raiders are trying to collect all the linebackers, like Ash Ketchum tries to, collect all the Pokemon. I don't understand what the Raiders' process is. I mean, like, it's really bizarre. I mean, you moved Divine Diablo to linebacker, so it's like, what are you doing? I'm just annoyed because I drafted Divine Diablo in my my Dynasty rookie draft, and we have defensive players. And their linebackers are now Corey Littleton, Nick Morrow, Tanner Muse, who they transferred from safety to linebacker, Denzel Perryman, who they signed, Nick Kwiatkowski, Javen White, who played really well against the Rams in preseason, Divine Diablo, and now they bring in KJ Wright. So why? If you're doing the math, they have 7 linebackers, and they've just added an 8th. I don't understand that. Yeah, you know what the Raiders kept? They kept 4. No, they kept 6. Wow, their roster's weird, guys. Have you ever noticed that? The Raiders kept 8 offensive linemen. They kept 3 tight ends. They kept 3 quarterbacks. I don't know why you're keeping Nathan Peterman. He's not good enough to make the team. But anyway, they kept a fullback. They kept 3 running backs. They kept 7 defensive linemen. Sorry, no, that's wrong. They kept 9 defensive linemen. No, 10. They kept 7 linebackers. And then they kept 6 corners. And they kept 4 safeties. I don't know. Yeah, I don't get the Nathan Peterman stuff. Plus, Kyle Sloter was better. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I don't know what the Raiders' process is there. I don't think you need that many linebackers personally, but, you know. Mayock is Ash Ketchum. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, we're getting to that. We're getting to that time because I got to get ready for this this showing. I cannot wait to see this movie. I'll let you guys know. Potentially do a video, but I don't know. I've really been trying to make the channel. If you guys haven't noticed, I've been trying to make the channel very Rams centric. You know, it is that time of year, and so while I really do want to cover MCU content, I want to have my horror movie stuff. I want to do what I want to do. I also see what the fans want, and I also see what the views bring in and the revenue, and all of that is revolving around the Rams. So, you know, it's like I want to do it, but I also see what you guys want. I always say this channel's 75% Rams, 25% everything else. Right now it seems like it's 95% Rams, which isn't a bad thing. So who's our kick returner? I think it's going to be Jake Funk, but we have no idea. So I'm going to roll with Jake Funk. I think he makes the most sense. His vision, his short area burst, you know, his quickness, his speed. I mean, the dude has long speed. He can really house it. I think he makes the most sense. I don't have a channel dedicated to horror movies. I was told by a mentor of mine not to do multiple channels because I will not get the subscriber base back. So, you know, I have 6.5 on here, 6.5K. We're on our way to 7,000. I was told straight up that you don't want to do multiple channels. It may look good, right? It may help the algorithm a little bit, but I'm just not getting the subs back for the horror channel. I'm not getting subs back for the entertainment channel, things like that. The thing that helps is that as this gets bigger, you know, then eventually people that like me and that they like me covering their team, they might like me enough to watch my other content because they just like me. That's the hope. That's the plan. So we'll see. But I mean, I covered all of the Falcon Winter Soldier. I covered all of Loki. I covered a little bit of WandaVision. You know, I covered a reaction to the trailer What If. I was going to do all the What If videos, but I decided not to. You know, I just, it's tough. You know, I have my gaming stuff that I think does well, but doesn't do anywhere near as well as this. And, you know, it's like I don't want to alienate my fan base. I do want to do what I want to do, but I also, you know, need to make ends meet, of course, because right now this is my only form, not my only form of income, but, you know, it's my only job as of right now, so to speak, because right now I'm unemployed. So working on that, but that's what it is right now. Also, if anyone has any questions of anything, how, you know, any ideas on videos they might want before I head out, let me know. but I'm going to be heading out in probably 20 to 30, well, about a minute. I think we got to do a same here, Red State. Same here. I've been watching so much horror. I'm gonna, yeah, I still play them. I haven't done it in a minute, but I still have Madden. I still want to play. I still plan on playing. We still have a franchise to do for the Rams. I might redo it though, and here's why: because we have the 53-man roster. I might just start week 1 with the 53 that we have. I go to Regal. Regal Cinemas is in my my hometown of Clifton Park, so yeah. Yes, please hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. It really does help. I really do appreciate it. So I almost dropped my phone. But if anyone doesn't have any other questions, that's going to do it for me. The foreign stuff isn't my favorite, so to speak. I'm really picky about that market. I do know Rec is one of them. Rec was made in the United States. It's basically the same movie. It was just made American. If you guys have ever heard of Quarantine and Quarantine 2, that's basically Rec. Yeah, What If Episode 4 is insane. It's the best What If episode I've seen. That I don't know. I haven't played it since you probably seen it last, so Last Saiyan Prince. By the way, I love that name because I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so just made you a mod because of that name. Same with you, Red State. Yeah, well, Roseboom, the youth, building him up, the injury to Willie Gay, I think that Roseboom wanted to come back, but the Chiefs just flat out gave him an opportunity to potentially play in week 1, and so I think he took that. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm glad to be able to hang out with you for the last hour. I'm going to let you guys know how Shang-Chi, sorry, I don't want to say it wrong. So Shang-Chi does. Appreciate you with the the comments and the interaction. It really does mean a lot. If you could go and like this video if you haven't already, it looks like we already got up to 53 likes, so really do appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow, maybe for an hour, maybe a little bit longer, but I want to keep doing this. I want to keep interacting with you guys. Even if it's an hour, it's better than nothing. So let's keep up the positive vibes. Be good people. I'll see you guys soon. Later.